So we recently got our hands on Codename S.T.E.A.M. It's a cute little RTS sort of turn-based role-playing game from Intelligent Systems, the team behind the Fire Emblem games. And it's for Nintendo 3DS, and we looked at the multiplayer mode.
Yeah, and for me it's fun. I've played this a few times already, and you know, the art style, the story, it's all really ridiculous. I mean, it's not captured by the name Codename S.T.E.A.M, which is not it doesn't encapsulate the fact that steampunk Abraham Lincoln is sending a Catman and Tom Sawyer on a mission to fight aliens.
Yeah.
Because that's just a ridiculous, fun story. And it's from the Fire Emblem team. Like, they know how to do RTS games, and you would think that they're going to put together a really fun, solid system, but it's a very, very different system. You're someone who's played a lot of Fire Emblem.
Oh, yeah.
I played Fire Emblem Awakening, and I loved it. And I do enjoy this. This is more like a melding of Fire Emblem Awakening strategy elements with kind of like a third-person shooter.
So I am obsessed with Fire Emblem. I love that series to death, but I feel like Codename S.T.E.A.M took out a lot of the elements that made Fire Emblem work so well. I know there's no when you're in matches, whether it's in in single player or in multiplayer, there's no map. Like you can't pull out and look at the whole map and see your enemy placement. You sort of start out in one section of a map, and you can only see what your 4 characters see. So you have a very limited field of view. And then once your turn is up and they're taking their turn, like whether it's again the aliens in single player or your opponent in multiplayer, you can't really see them. I ran into a lot of problems where I was either facing a wall. I had faced a wall when I stopped, or I was facing something, and I couldn't really move the camera to see what was going on. So it was 60 seconds of like dramatic music and people shouting, "Oh, there's aliens!" and I can't see them, and that really frustrated me.
Yeah, it's turn-based strategy, so in between those turns, you can switch between your characters, and you have a limited field of view where you can kind of move the camera around and maybe get a glimpse of somebody, but you do get audible cues. When one of your characters sees somebody, you just have to know, like, oh, that was that person's voice, and he just saw someone off in the distance, so I'll switch my camera to them and try to get a glimpse of what they're doing. As someone, I do like RTS games, and I do prefer having that map that gives me that overhead view, so I can strategize more, and it felt like a very different way to approach this. I mean, you'd have to get used, this is something that you're not going to be able to jump into necessarily. You have to play multiple rounds, get used to the map, because otherwise someone who does know how to play it, who's just really used to that map, is just going to squash you. It's like a regular shooter.
Yeah.
They know where to go, they know how to set up their team and flank you and go around. Whereas otherwise you're going in blind and you don't know what anything around you is. And there are a lot of things which kind of change up between the matches. The layout will be the same each time, but when you hit barrels and boxes, there are items that will buff your character quite a bit. Those can be really, really helpful. And those are going to be different every time, but sometimes those barrels actually explode and hurt you a lot.
Yeah, I ran into that problem. I also ran into another problem with the characters. You can choose, they have their primary weapon, and then you can choose a secondary weapon. And some of the weapons let you actually shoot like med grenades. Like you can heal people in a certain radius or heal one character, or you can catapult. I think my favorite weapon was the bear catapult, where you just shoot a bear. And then there's the one where you can shoot mechanical penguins and they come out and whatever, and they explode.
And I definitely had a little bit of an advantage because I'd played the game enough to know what all the basic weapons were. And we were jumping into the middle of the game, so there were a lot of options. And that's actually something that excites me a little bit more because I love going through the menu and the options. Your primary weapon is always stuck to your character. You get to choose your secondary weapon. So you really have to know what your primary is going in, then that way you can choose from the list of secondary weapons. And then also the Steam pack on your back, that affects things in another way. And I love that level of customization. And like you mentioned, the different weapons and those different effects, like shooting little penguins out and having them waddle and explode on an enemy.
I don't know, I couldn't, I was getting very frustrated, and having that 60-second span where my enemy was taking his turn and I was switching between 4 characters and not really able to see what was going on, that really frustrated me. And I think I died a lot, but I couldn't get used to the idea of I can't see what's going on, I don't know where they are. So I don't know.
It'll be really interesting to see how well this game catches on, because obviously it has to go after those Fire Emblem fans. It's by that developer, it's an RTS, but at the same time it's really, really different, and it's not going to be going after that same audience in some ways. It's steampunk, it's more modern, it's absolutely batshit insane.
It's super weird.
I like it. I think it's endearing.
Okay, well, we'll see, I guess.
We will see. I'm going to lean back on this beanbag.
Good night.